Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Camino Talks. Today, we're meeting someone who's walking the Camino with a powerful mission, making the way cleaner, more conscious, and filled with purpose. Lorie Solis is the heartbeat behind Camino Limpio, Corazón Contento, a project where she walks the Camino, picking up litter, connecting with nature, and inspiring others. Hello, Lorie. How are you? Where are you in the Camino today?
Hi, thank you for having me. Today I'm in Leon. I am having a rest day, so I'm here in a nice bed in an aircon room, just resting my body. So I'm doing, quite nicely today.
That sounds great. Let's go back to the beginning. How did Camino Limpio Corazón Contento start? What inspired you to turn your pilgrimage into a movement?
Yeah, I mean, the very, very beginning would be when I was very young, I think. My parents were always doing these kinds of acts of service for their local community, and I was always involved since a very young age and in my teenage years and into my 20s into different projects that help the environment, that help different marginalized communities. So I've always kind of been involved in these kinds of just works to make the world a little bit of a kinder place for all of us. But specifically last year, my family and I, my mom, who was then 72 years old, my husband, and our son, who was 10, we walked the last 100 kilometers of the Camino Primitivo last summer in August. And it was kind of interesting because my husband set it up for us. I didn't really know what we were doing. We just wanted to take a family vacation together. We live in the south of Portugal, so I told him I didn't want to fly anywhere. I didn't want to be in a big city or anything like this, but just go ahead and set it up. Whatever you want to do is fine. So like a week before we left, he told us, "Oh, this is what we're doing," and I thought, "Oh, wow, okay. This sounds amazing." So we went to do it together. We started in Lugo, and I really took the opportunity to. I had a question, of course, in my heart. A lot of people come with an intention or something that they're walking with. And at the time, I was enrolled in a second master's program that I had really thought a lot about if I really wanted to do it. And I decided, yes, I would do this. But then a year into it, I don't know, I was feeling like it wasn't really the right path for me. But usually I wouldn't quit something. I wouldn't start, especially after thinking about it for so long and so carefully, I wouldn't just stop. So I was kind of walking with this, well, if it's not this, then what is it for me right now? And on the third day, I got a very clear message regarding that moment of my education. And at the same time, I had a very clear message that this is like what I would tell people as a divine message from the universe, is that I would instead walk the Camino Frances and pick up all of the trash that I see along the way. And it was it was so clear. I felt like it wasn't an idea that I had. My friend Grace says ideas sometimes have us. We don't have ideas. Ideas have us. And when I have that feeling, when I have that feeling that an idea has me, I feel, oh, this is an idea like from spirit, from the universe that wants to happen through me for some reason. Not something because I wasn't feeling, oh, the Camino, there's a lot of trash. I wasn't feeling that way. It just came. So I thought, wow, well, that's a mission. Okay. So I started to think about logistically how I would do that. How would I pick up all of this trash? I started thinking about the kind of gear I might need, about how I might organize the drop off, and just letting myself dream and vision. Oh, wouldn't it be nice if I could separate it all and get it, like see what kind of trash there was. Wouldn't it be good if I could have it recycled? If I could get like the Eco Embes people involved to come and meet me and to weigh it. And I just started letting myself vision um, as big as I wanted to what kind of project this could be. And in the end, yeah, it was simply getting a couple of special pieces of gear that I have with me that I'm also excited to share about, and just going for it. Just going for it. It didn't end up being as big of a project as I let myself vision when I was being inspired by it, but
Mm-hmm.
still, it feels like exactly the pilgrimage that I am supposed to be having. And yeah, I'm just really grateful for the for the opportunity to like be the change that I want to see in the world, you know, to set a good example for my son of being involved with things that you really care about and being willing to put your body, your time in to yeah, just to engage in issues that you care about. Um, and maybe even to inspire other people to be involved in causes and things that they are really passionate about.
Well, it's really inspiring because of what you do, but it's also inspiring in the sense of how you let that idea come to life and how you welcome that in your life and in your routine. I was wondering, how does your walking routine look like? How do you combine the physical challenge of walking with the collecting trash every single day?
Well, I feel that I don't like push myself too hard. I'm 41 years old, and I feel this is one of the most valuable things I've learned in my life of really like taking care of my body and my mind. I'm a really passionate person. I'm engaged in a lot of social and environmental things. I feel like I give a lot in this life of myself, and I want to. I really want to. And so I've learned that it requires that I take really good care of myself. So I have been waking up super, well, for me, super early. I'm not really a morning person in my normal life. So
That's
I've been
always
up,
relative.
yeah. I feel like it comes natural to some people are really early risers. But yeah, I've been waking up and getting out the door by 6 in the morning um, to kind of beat the heat. I haven't been taking very, very long stages. I did one day over 35 kilometers, one day just for fun. But the rest of the days, I go, between 18 and 23 kilometers. I take my time, I rest, I eat and drink, and I try to be finished by 12 or 1 so that I can just rest my body and be in the shade and just not push myself too hard.
That is great. And what kind of reactions do you get from other pilgrims when they see you picking up litter on the Camino?
Many, many different kinds of reactions. Let's see. Well, my absolute favorite reactions so far are from the elders, the Spanish elders that live in the villages where I pass by. Um, so I think there's this moment where they are looking like, what is this? What is this person doing? And it feels like they want to engage, but maybe there's a language barrier. But I say buenos dias, and so I speak some Spanish, and they're really excited that I can speak some Spanish. And so we start talking about this mission, and they are just so encouraging and like, yes, this is how it should be done. And this is like you're setting an example and thank you for caring for the Camino. And they're just so enthusiastic and they really seem to get it and just give me such, hearty venga when I'm leaving. And I just love them. I love them so much.
That
So
is
the
beautiful. That's
pilgrims,
very encouraging.
yeah, I it's so encouraging. And especially the locals who I think have seen, I'm sure, over the years, more people come, less people come. They've seen the changes of the Camino, and sometimes they tell me that there is, of course, more trash just as a result of more people visiting and doing the pilgrimage. So it seems that they really appreciate. Now, someone told me, muchos tiran, pocos recogen. Like, many people throw, but so few people take a moment to pick it up after themselves. So it really feels like they appreciate, and that makes me feel good of giving something back to the people who actually live here, who spend their lives here, who invest in this land. To show my appreciation for that feels great. So other pilgrims have asked some people have assumed that I am like being paid to do this,
Uh-huh.
that I'm part of an organization, um, or some kind of larger project beyond myself. And then they are quite surprised when that's not the case. Like, oh, you're just doing this because you want to? That's wow, that's crazy. So people are shocked that I would do such a thing. People are really, a lot of people say thank you. A lot of people say that I'm an angel of the Camino or a saint, which I think is cute and sweet. A lot of people say thank you. Um, a lot of people are just in awe. Like, oh my God, are you really pulling that from, because I have my carrito with the trash can on it. Like, are you really pulling that from Saint Jean to Santiago? And they just shake their head. Like, wow, that's amazing. So it's a
It's
mix of
impressive to find you on the
surprise,
Camino.
surprise, awe, gratitude. I mean, a couple people just don't even know what to make of it, like what. So it's a mix.
And is there a specific moment in your journey so far that has stayed with you? Maybe a conversation, someone you met? What
Yeah,
comes?
definitely. I mean, of course, anyone who's done the Camino, most people I'm sure have just so many little moments that become so special. And there's not one day that has gone by, including today, the rest day, that I've not cried with some kind of just my heart being touched by the simple gestures, um, like the beautiful spirit of humanity and of life. So there was there's two connections that really stayed with me. And many people, I think, have met this little sister, this nun outside of Burgos. She's in a hermitage outside of Rabe de las Calzadas, before Hornios del Camino. And she was just this tiny little nun who was welcoming pilgrims into this chapel. And she would talk to all of us. She gave us each a little pendant of a saint or a virgin, depending on from where we were. And she just radiated love. And she would put her, I'm just like tearing up thinking about it, because she put her hands on everybody's head and gave each one of us a blessing. And she would read from our credentials our name, like she wanted to know our name. And she said it's really important not to treat each other just like numbers, or just kind of to treat each other really like brothers and sisters, like family, and that it's really important to take care of each other, not just on the Camino, but out in our life. And she saw me crying, and she was talking about how she saw the children of Gaza and just what was happening to our brothers and sisters there, that she was crying the night before watching some things that she had seen about this genocide in Palestine. And it touched me so much that she said it. She brought it out, this thing that's happening in the world, and she brought it into this collective space of our Camino right now. Because for me, it's so important to personally to not shut out the world just because I'm having my experience. I carry these things with me in my walk, and my grief for the world, my uncertainty, my pains. And she, yeah, she just named it so specifically and put it in the context of just loving each other and taking care of each other and laying her hands on each of us and giving her blessing. And it touched me so much. It touched me so much. I was so grateful to cross her path that morning. Ah, and I was also connected. through a Facebook group. There's many Facebook groups for pilgrims. Um, so I was part of one, or I am part of one. I had posted about my journey. And someone mentioned, oh, you should meet this woman in the Meseta. Her name is Rebecca Scott. She organizes volunteer cleanups for many years across the Camino Frances. She would love to meet you. So I started looking for her. This was, I guess I was in La Rioja maybe, and I found her online and we started communicating a little bit. And she said, yes, just come by. When you come through Moratinos, just come on by, knock on my door. So that morning, kind of in the middle of the meseta, it was kind of magical because yeah, it was early. It was 7:30 in the morning, and I just was walking up to basically a stranger's door that I've never met in a place I've never been. And she invited me inside and had some coffee. She made me some coffee, and we had the most beautiful conversation. She's also American, but she's been living there in Moratinos for 20 years. And back when there was no albergue in that town,
Mhm.
she said there were 6 residents of that village when she moved in. And for those 20 years living there, she has dedicated her life to serving not just the pilgrims that have come through, but migrant workers, people who are in more desperate situations, who are just on the road and using the Camino as a migratory path. She has welcomed so many people into her home and her husband. They, the local authorities and emergency services use her home as kind of a meeting point in case of emergencies. So, like during COVID, she was talking about that they were housing a lot of people while the various embassies were organizing to get them out and back to their country. And she told me about how interesting it was to see the different responses from different countries, how they treated their citizens, how they came for them or did not come for them. Some people were left just there. Um, and so she told me, yeah, just about her 2 decades of service and this organization, this crew of volunteers every winter that she organizes for 17 years to walk 100-kilometer stretches and clean up all they can every winter. And it was so inspiring. And she just had this, I'm not religiously affiliated, but I was telling her that I am being trained as an interfaith chaplain right now. And she happens to also be clergy. So we were really connecting on this, yeah, call to service from the heart. And she just told me also, like hers is the Benedictine tradition, which really focuses on hospitality. And she just told me I really try to practice recognizing that every person that comes to my door or that crosses my path is Jesus Christ incarnate. And I try to act accordingly. And I was just so inspired by that, in a world that it's so easy to be skeptical of each other or self protective. Um, yeah, I really value people who model living into their values and who are able to, despite all the threats of the world and all the reasons, the good reasons that we might have to be cynical and bitter and even mean or cruel, choose to practice being kind and compassionate and really devoting their life. It just gives me so much courage and soothing on my heart. So I think Rebecca and this nun both embodied that in different ways. And I just carry that with me as big gifts from this pilgrimage so far.
It really sounds like big gifts that you had with them, and
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful how you get inspired and at the same time inspire so many people.
Mm.
And these people that you just mentioned, you met them on the Camino, but I was wondering what other voices, what other stories and people have lighted the way for you in your life, especially during hard times, but up to the starting point of your Camino.
Yeah, thank you for asking me that question because I feel like everything that I am able to give and offer and do in this world is because I have been made more courageous and inspired by the people who have shown me that way. So I have been particularly shaped and inspired by disabled community, people who have physical and mental disabilities of various kinds. I've worked with these people since I was young, and I've worked with people who work with them since I was very young. And this community has given me such an opportunity to learn about my own strengths, my own values, my own capacity to serve, and also to work as a community. I really think it's in this world that can sometimes feel very individualist. And there's a lot of pressure to do things on your own and to not ask for help and to be strong and not be a burden. In disabled community, we know that, well, basically that's irrelevant. Like we are stronger together. We as mammals, as herd animals, are designed to be together, to work together for our survival and for our thriving. And the experiences that I've had with disabled community have uplifted me so much. So I was really inspired to see groups like This Camino, I think out of Vigo, or the I'll Push You guys, who also organize caminos for disabled people. I, this is absolute joy for me, and I hope to be able to walk with them next summer. Um, and I'm also really inspired by Indigenous sovereignty movements that join together across the globe, Indigenous peoples, traditional peoples from across the world who are protecting their landscapes, who are protecting culture, who have preserved their nature centered spiritualities and lifeways, and who work together and kind of build cross cultural coalitions to support this cause and this movement of Indigenous sovereignty. This really speaks to my own spirituality, my own traditional lineages, and it has everything to do with, for example, this Camino, which joins love for the earth, which joins my own kind of spirituality, is very much inspired by Indigenous people's deep reverence for lands and how they, yeah, just have organized and worked to preserve that and support each other across the globe.
And I understand that what you're saying relates directly to the name of your project, Clean Camino, Happy Heart. Why that phrase? What does it mean to you on a deeper level?
Yeah, I think in this world of it seems really easy, of course, to get trapped up in the suffering of the world. And of course, whole spiritualities have been built. The Four Noble Truths of Buddhism, the first is that life is suffering. So it can be quite easy to get wrapped up in the suffering and the pain, as I mentioned earlier, and just bitterness. So for me, to have Clean Camino, Corazón Contento, is a practice. It's a devotional practice of keeping my side of the street clean, which means a commitment to reducing the suffering that I create in the world. It's reducing pain, it's reducing harm to the earth, to myself, to the people around me. And this might mean that I have to unlearn some things or re-educate myself. This might mean that I might need to find some new tools, like I've had to, some new gear, learn some new things, and it means that I have to practice, right? And I have to be adaptable. So to not continuously just project my own pains, my own sufferings onto other people, whether it's through littering or through being bitter or hurtful, which just compounds pain and problem, instead to clean up my side of the street so that I can actually be a more healing presence in the world, one that is more, yeah, inspired and inspiring, that is more, I think, tender, like in touch with my tenderness, even though I, of course, still have my pains and frustrations, but that can be in my tenderness so that ultimately I can do what my heart desires, which is to love, to give and receive love, and experience that in this life as much as possible.
That is beautiful. And on the more tangible part of your journey, what kind of trash do you find on the Camino? Is there something that really surprises you or that frustrates you especially?
You know, I've actually been kind of surprised that I've not experienced too much frustration. At the beginning, when I was planning, I was thinking, oh no, I hope I'm not just mad the whole time and annoyed and just like, that would be terrible. So I'm, because I could see that might, it can be demoralizing, just like picking up poo paper and just discarded everything. I could see that maybe I would be annoyed the whole time, but no, I've actually not, I've been pretty equanimous. Like, I've had a kind of peace in my heart of just doing what needs to be done and not worrying too much about who's doing this and why are they doing this and why. It's just like it's there, I'm gonna pick it up. So it's plastic of all kinds, of course, like a lot of plastic bottles for drinks, plastic food wrappers for meats and cheeses, for tins like latas of food, tuna, olives, food stuff, Coca-Cola cans, Aquarius, of course, the drink, the official drink, beer cans, of course, there's wine bottles, a lot of cigarette cartons, a lot, a lot of cigarette cartons. And of course, the endless supply of toilet paper and the toallitas, the wipies that people use to clean themselves after they pee or poo. So, but surprising, I don't know. I did find €5. That was cool. I was excited about that. I kept that. Um, and I
So
found a
you are getting
CD, like a,
paid.
yeah. I found a CD, like a mixed tape CD. I was like, oh, I hope someone doesn't miss this. And I thought to bring it with me and listen to it and see what kind of music, but it felt kind of retro a little bit. But I ended up just discarding it. But nothing else too shocking. Just good old fashioned human trash.
And beyond the environmental impact that you're having, what is this experience teaching you about yourself, about your relationship with the earth, about our life on this planet?
It's really good to experience in myself this peace, this quality of peace in the face of something that I really care a lot about. I mean, litter, trash, human apathy, these things are things that that I have gotten really worked up about. I can get really sad and cry, and I can get angry and frustrated and feel all the hopelessness of the world. So it's been actually really beautiful and important to experience myself kind of at peace in a way, like contributing to the world I want to see, but with and like really in the face of it, like looking at it straight in the eye, looking at every piece of poo paper and picking it up and not feeling all super intense about it, just feeling at peace. So there is this kind of polarity of how deeply I feel about the things, about how serious I do think it is, while also experiencing a calmness, um, this peace in the call to service. This I've learned about my capacity to do this over time, over stretch. I mean, this was for sure the biggest walk I've ever done and kind of the most ambitious solo project in a way. Um, and because I work with trauma professionally and I am an aspiring chaplain, I think this capacity to be with things that are quite serious and shocking and hurtful and the more all these horrible, like darker things, to be with them really with an open heart, with a certain amount of stabilizing presence feels like a really important capacity for me to continue to cultivate in myself. So I feel like I've learned something, a new facet about my capacity for that because it's a new project. So I see myself and experience myself in a different way. And I think that I've also noticed my own like strength and patience, to do a project, to do a mission, even though I am posting about it online, so I'm receiving a lot of encouragement. I'm still, hour by hour out there, a lot by myself in my own process. And I don't have to do this. I can give up at any time. No one's going to fault me for it. And so to really feel my own kind of strength, commitment, devotion, the patience that it takes to do this has been also a good learning about this part of myself and like what am I willing to do to serve the issues that I say that I really care about. And so I love the Camino. I think I wish everybody who wanted to do this could have the opportunity to do it. I don't like that there's trash along the Camino, and so I want to get it out of there as much as I can so that the next person can experience a cleaner Camino. And I feel that I really feel the interconnectivity of all of us. So even though I'm looking at all the trash, I feel that I can experience from the next person what it is to walk on a cleaner Camino. And that also gives me insight about my own capacity for empathy and connection with others of like, yeah, that would be great. I feel that to walk a cleaner path. That's so beautiful. And I can experience that myself through others, even though I'm
Mhm.
choosing to see all the trash.
And particularly for those people who you're mentioning that they're about to start the Camino or they are planning their future Camino, if they want to walk more consciously, more environmentally, where can they start? What will be your tips on how to behave like a eco-conscious pilgrim?
Yeah. Ah, well, okay. One of the pieces of gear that I'm using is called Clean Trek. It was invented by a man named John McShane in California, and I love it. So it's attachments. So any of your hiking poles that you have, it attaches to your hiking poles. There's a trigger on the top that you squeeze and the grabber on the bottom. It makes, I mean, you don't have to touch anything. It's amazing. You don't have to bend over. So you have the grabber on one side, and on the other side, there's a little collector, and it's about the size of these doggy bags, like the dog poop bags. So he's about to have a Kickstarter. He's patenting the invention right now. These are prototypes that he sent me that I'm really excited to be using. Um, and they're about to be available. And I just think if just a few more people had these, right? If you invested in whatever it's going to cost to buy them, attach it to your hiking poles, you can just pick up a few things. You don't have to drag a whole trash can like I'm dragging. You can just pick up a few things. Commit every day to picking up just a few bits. And if more people did that, it would absolutely be a cleaner Camino for everybody.
We will link the
I also
product
think
on
just
the episode notes so that people can read
great,
about it. Yeah.
great. Thank you. Great. It's so cool. It makes it actually kind of fun. I think it's awesome. And, walking more consciously can mean so many different things. So I just encourage people to think about what they're really passionate in this life. Like, what really moves you? And kind of connecting the dots, like bringing that with you with your Camino and seeing what kind of inspiration arises in you. But for sure, I think about reciprocity, our interconnectedness as
Mm.
ecological beings. So some of the locals have told me, that they've noticed a change. It seems like in this faster paced world or with people on their phones, like people aren't speaking to them as much, or they feel disconnected a little bit. So, being a more conscious pilgrim can also just mean like, oh, learning a little Spanish before you come. If you don't know Spanish or much Spanish, to learn a little bit and just making the effort to say hello and good morning and to say thank you and just look people in the eyes and yeah, have that moment of human connection. I think is a very conscious or conscientious thing to do as far as cultural reciprocity for the Camino that gives us so much. So to give back with a quality of presence that's also kind and compassionate.
And finally, how can people support your project, whether they are on the Camino or they are following from home?
Yeah, so you can, of course, follow me on Instagram, which is Camino Limpio, Corazón Contento, which is the Galician for this phrase. There, people have asked me, is it just going to be over once you reach Santiago? What's going to happen? And the short answer is no. I'm already kind of considering, the Camino empieza agora after we finish. So what is this? What can we do as a community together to kind of keep the spirit of this alive? We'll see. If you have ideas, if people have ideas and they want to invite me into ambitious and creative projects, I'm always open to receiving awesome invitations to get involved in community efforts. Um, and as well, I think really to support me from the heart means watching people feel inspired to get involved in their local communities. So if there is an issue that you're passionate about or something that you really feel, yeah, just a love for, figuring out how to get involved in your local either pilgrim associations or other associations, whether it's for animals or plants or immigrants or whatever it is, getting involved with your local community and cultivating that robust fabric of resilience. I think that helps all of us, not just through inspiration, but through respecting that interwoven fabric of resiliency of humanity. So, yeah, if you want to support me, I feel like support your local communities, and that inspires me and fills my heart with joy.
Lorie, thank you so much for your time, your energy, the example that you're setting. We will definitely be having more conversation. This is just our first introduction, but we will keep on collaborating and we're hoping to do many things with you in the future. And your journey reminds
Yay!
us that yes, for sure. Your journey reminds us that the Camino isn't just a walk. There is a choice that you make every day, an invitation to live with more care, more love, more presence. I love this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us today. And as Lorie said, if you want to follow her journey, head to Camino Limpio Corazón Contento. I will add your Instagram hashtag to the notes as well. And there you will find inspiration. You will see her walking from León to Santiago, and you will follow a beautiful journey full of inspiring ideas and a heartlet perspective of the Camino. Thank you so much, Lorie, and thank you all for watching Camino Talks. And as always, buen camino.
Gracias, buen camino a todos. ¡Mua!